Hello folks, Alex here. This is Alex Unabridged, and today I'm going to do the yet another random questions tag. So welcome back to the channel if that is the case. Yes, I'd already done my tag video for this week, and then Mark from Book Time with Elvis tagged me in this one, and I can't resist a random questions tag. So I thought I would do a second tag for the week. So this is a little bonus tag for you, and also because I'm procrastinating at the moment. I've hit a bit of an artist block at the moment on what I'm working on, so I thought I would step away from that and hopefully a little bit of time apart from my work might unblock that blockage. So let's get into these questions then. There are 15 of them. Question number 1, what is a book you don't want to admit you hate or dislike? There isn't any really, in terms of that I would not want to admit or be uncomfortable admitting. I like what I like, and I dislike what I dislike. It's one of those, isn't it, where we can all have differing opinions on things, and as long as it's discussed respectfully, civilly, then I'm more than happy to chat about things that why I don't like stuff that somebody might love. So yeah, these days I'm quite happy sort of saying what I do and don't like. I think when I was younger, I definitely was more wary of it. I think I was much more concerned with what people thought. So I think I probably did keep my mouth shut on certain things. Like one I'll give you in terms of an author is Dickens. I can't stand Dickens. But I used to be very wary of saying anything, certainly about the Dickens and in the other classics that I don't like, because I'm not a classics fan particularly, because I'd kind of been given the impression by people that I wasn't as accomplished a reader, or I couldn't call myself a proper book lover if I hadn't read the classics or if I didn't enjoy the classics. And so I kind of used to just not say anything about it. But these days, I'm quite happy to say I don't like Dickens. I've tried 4 Dickens. Great Expectations when I was at school, which I really hated. And then I've tried Oliver Twist in my 20s, which, didn't get on with. And A Tale of Two Cities, which I tried thinking that, the period of history that it's set in, sort of pre-revolutionary and revolutionary France. I thought, I'm interested in that, so maybe I'll get on with this one. But nope, I did not. The only one that I did kind of like was A Christmas Carol. But I think that's got less to do with Dickens and more to do with the fact that I love the Muppets. So, I went and read that after I'd seen Muppets Christmas Carol, and it was interesting to see kind of the original text, what the film was based kind of the story on. But yeah, it is the Muppets all the way for me, I'm afraid. So yes, but if someone else loves Dickens, more power to you. If Charlie's your boy, then all respect to that, because if it's something that someone else is enjoying, that they get joy out of, that teaches them things or whatever, then I'm not going to dismiss that. Nor would I expect somebody to dismiss what I like, but yeah, he's just not my type, so I will steer clear of that. Question number 2, are there authors whose work you haven't gotten on with and that you want to revisit? Absolutely, yeah. 2 from recent readings, I would say, are Grady Hendrix. I read Horror Store last year and just didn't get on with it. Didn't think it was bad writing or anything like that. It just really wasn't for me. But just this week, I've seen Criminoli's glowing review of How to Sell a Haunted House, and Olly's convinced me to give that one a crack. His passion for it made it sound like, you know, I should give it a go. It sounds really good fun, and so yes, I will give that one a go and give Grady Hendrix another chance. And the other one is Paul Tremblay. Again, I read A Head Full of Ghosts last year, and didn't get on with it, but that one, I'm pretty sure it was the narrator. It was an audiobook, and it was the narrator that actually ruined it for me. So I think I would definitely want to go back and read some more of Paul Tremblay's other stuff, and I'll probably try it as a physical book or as an ebook, and just see whether it's, you know, whether it actually is the writing style, or whether it's what I suspect, and that actually it was the narration on Head Full of Ghosts that put me off. So those are definitely two that I want to revisit soon. Prompt number 3, is your TBR outlined or pantsed? It's somewhere in the middle. It's kind of similarly to how I operate on everything. I'm not one of the extremes. You know, I pull from sort of both elements. I certainly plan, you know, things like my adventures in genre project stuff, because I need to make sure that I've got kind of a good spread of different things within that genre, you know, because it's stuff that I'm coming to that's I'm kind of new to the genre. I want to make sure I've got, you know, a good selection from within the subgenres, and, you know, just make sure that I've kind of got stuff that I can get through, you know, and a good mix of authors as well, potentially. So I do plan that one a lot more. But then anything else, excuse me, anything else, I like to kind of sort of have a little bit of a guide in terms of, you know, I know I might want to read some more horror or some more LGBTQIA plus authors, or I might want to read some history non-fiction, something like that for the month, that's kind of on a wish list. And I'll have a pool of books that cover those broad kind of categories that I can pull from. And I've got a massive wish list anyway that, you know, that's just kind of sat there waiting to be delved into. And so then I'll just kind of pick stuff dependent on my mood, because I'm a mood reader, really. So yeah, I don't want to have stuff too planned, because then I'll kind of feel like I've pressured myself into reading stuff if I say, you know, there's a very fixed order of what I'm reading, and then I risk not enjoying that reading experience because it's just not the right thing for me to read at that time, and that'll put me off reading it. So yes, a little bit of both on the plotting and pantsing. Prompt number 4, what is your favourite BookTube reading event? I haven't really done any yet, other than Garb August 1.5, the Wasted Weekend, in the first weekend in February, which I loved. I had such good fun with that one. So I'm very much looking forward to the full fat Garb August later this year, and a whole month of trash, beautiful trash. But yeah, so I'm pretty new actually to the whole reading event thing. I hadn't really sort of noticed that how many there were before I'd kind of, you know, connected with folks and, you know, started doing my own videos and kind of got more involved with BookTube. So yeah, but now I'm starting to kind of learn about them. I'm sure there'll be plenty that will pop up. I'm going to do March Mystery Madness this month. We are just into March, and there's Transgirl April, which I've just learnt about, which I'm most definitely up for that. Reading work by trans and non-binary authors. So yes, I will link to videos for both of those, March Mystery Madness and Transgirl April. But yes, so I don't have a favourite yet because I've not participated in any, but there are definitely lots that I'm looking forward to, as we get on through the year. Prompt number 5, how many works does it take to decide if you like or dislike an author's work? So if I've read one I liked and one I didn't like, for instance, then I'll probably want to read at least one more, maybe 2 more, to kind of get a proper feel for whether, whether it was just an anomaly on the one I didn't like or the one I liked, or whether it's always going to be a bit of a mixed bag with that author, which is fine, I'd still read them. So probably 3 or 4. If I've read 2 that I dislike, then I'll probably call it quits there, just because there are so many other books and authors out there that there is a limit to kind of how much I'll kind of try to get into something. Unless, to be fair, if I'd read 2 that I didn't like, and then someone whose opinion I trusted, who likes similar things to me, kind of recommended another one by that author, I would probably give it a go. But otherwise, I think I'd probably quit after 2. So 3 to 4 for sort of confirming whether I like or not. Prompt number 6. Which of the 7 deadly sins do you experience the most? Okay, I had to go and just check the sins, make sure I'd got them right. So let's just pop through these then. So pride, no. If anything, the opposite. I tend to be underconfident rather than overconfident, and not pride particularly. No. Greed, absolutely not. In fact, that riles me up when I see it when I see it on display. Wrath, no, I never experienced wrath, but that's because I think I keep my anger in check. I have the potential to get there. I've got a very hot temper that can kind of flare quite badly, and I do hit rage. Certainly sort of some of the bigger things in the world, I get ragey at the world quite a lot. Injustice and prejudices and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I never let it get to wrath. Wrath's a whole other level of like anger and fury. There's vengeance mixed in. It's a much bigger thing, I think. And so no, I keep my anger and my rage kind of in a little box if I can, kind of contained, so I don't let it get out of hand. Because as I say, the potential for me is there, so I do work to keep it in check. Envy, no, not at all. No, never. Lust, well, who doesn't at some stage? Yeah, probably that's one that's fairly high up on what I experience most, and definitely gluttony. In terms of I love my food, and I can eat. I can pack a lot in to the point of sometimes regretting packing in that much. So yeah, I can I can certainly go for like the rich stuff, not posh and expensive foods, but rich, cake, lots and lots of cake, plenty of meat, roast dinners, and I like big plates of sort of fried breakfast and things like that. Naughty stuff I can properly chomp away at that. But yeah, I'm not greedy with it either though. I like to share food, and food is love to me. So I don't mind if it's, if gluttony is the one that I experience. And sloth, well, yeah, who doesn't a little bit? Certainly when it comes to things like chores, I'm very much and can't be arsed. I'll put it off for as long as I can. But yeah, it's minor things really in terms of sloth. So yes, I should say probably lust and gluttony, sex and food. So I'm fine with that. So question number 7 is which of the Olympian gods is your favourite? I had to go and look up the Olympian gods and refresh my memory because it's been a little while since I'd read anything about them. But I have gone for Apollo because that dude was the god of everything, it seems, including but not limited to like art, music, poetry. So all the things that mean a lot to me, the arts, and philosophy. That's another thing that I particularly value, that I like. Prophecy, medicine, plague, truth, archery, and more. I think So yeah, kind of a jack of all trades god, I think, and I'm kind of a jack of all trades with with things. Jack of all trades and master of none. but no, I think he's certainly he's a catch-all. Apollo. So yes, Apollo is my answer. Question number 8. What is your go-to special event meal? Oof. If I'm cooking for a group of people, then it'll probably be something like a roast dinner, a proper full-on roast dinner with all the trimmings. I'm a traditional cook in that respect, so I will do something that's got plenty of meat and gravy and stuff like that, and plenty of potatoes. Can never have enough potatoes. If I'm going out for a special meal, then I will always go for something like barbecue. There's some really nice restaurants around my way that or diners even that do like good sort of southern US barbecue style food, and I do love that sticky piggy, sticky ribs. I love that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's the sort of thing I'd have if I was going out. Yeah, posh nosh isn't really for me. I prefer my stuff, to stick to my ribs, shall we say. It's I like meaty, stodgy, sticky, yummy stuff. I'm easy to please. Question 9. Do you attend local celebrations, fairs, festivals, markets, etc.? If you're talking like music festivals, things like that, basically anything where there's a crowd of people, no. I don't do well with crowds. Crowds are my nemesis. If it's something where you can kind of go and sort of wander a bit more in your own time, pick a quiet time to go, things like that. So like an arts market, or even like an arts festival where they've got kind of little, sort of arts trails where people give up their windows to an artist to display, and there are open houses and open studios and things like that. Arts kind of festival events like that. Then absolutely, yeah, I do go to those. Question 10, do you prefer the city, suburbs, small towns, or the country? Well, you might be able to guess now. I've just said I don't like crowds. That I prefer the country. I live in a small village that I can just, get out into the hills. I can walk from the door into the hills within half an hour. And it's peaceful and quiet, and there's no tall buildings. I can see green from the window, and yeah, it's just that's my pace. That's my pace of life. So yeah, I love the country because I'm a hiker, and I love getting out, being able to see, and just being able to see the hills from my window. I do have a small town, a market town, sort of 10 minutes down the train tracks, which is a lovely old school town with a nice high street, and like, proper good butchers, greengrocers, little independent coffee shops, a nice little arts scene, arts community. So that's all right. I could live in that sort of place if I needed to, if I wanted to. I'd always opt for the country, but yeah, certainly that sort of place I could live. City, like suburbs, no, I'm not a fan of the burbs. And the city, I lived in cities for a while when I was younger, and it never felt quite like home. But then I grew up in kind of a more rural area, so I think it was I was always probably going to gravitate back towards rural as I got older. Cities were nice when I was younger, and I wanted to do more stuff and kind of be involved in more things, have access to stuff a bit easier. But these days, no, I've got Manchester 25 minutes up the train track the other way, and that's great because I can pop in and out as I please. But it's far enough away for me to kind of feel a bit more chilled these days. Prompt number 11. Are there any BookTube videos that you have a hard time making? I don't think I've really kind of experienced the gamut of YouTube videos yet. I've only just started kind of making stuff in it's the last month, just over a month. So no, there's nothing that I've found like overly challenging or anything like that. I'm sure there will be at some stage. They're all quite hard when you start, I think, aren't they? You kind of, feeling like, are you getting it right? I always find it difficult just in terms of I second guess myself a lot. So kind of I'll do a video and then I'll kind of watch it back and go, oh, I don't know. So I'm pushing myself to get past that. So that's kind of just the only kind of challenging bit about it. But that's good for me. That is good for me to just kind of, to get over that, basically. Challenging in terms, or hard in terms of time consuming. Yeah, some of the like the top 10s that I've done took quite a while because, I want to make sure that I've got the top 10, right for me at that time. And there's so much stuff I love. I kind of feel bad like not being able to fit some of it in there. So yeah, those have taken a little while. Yeah, anything that's taken me a little bit more research to do, or where I've had to dredge back stuff from memory or do bits of rereads, they take more time. But yeah, nothing that's overly challenging so far. I am about to do a vlog because I'm going away on holiday in a couple of weeks, and so I won't be able to kind of do my sitting and talking and all that kind of stuff, and editing as well, like adding stuff in. Adding graphics in and things like that. I won't be able to do that when I'm away. So I thought I'll do a vlog, a little holiday vlog, a reading vlog. So yes. So I want to do that, but I think I might find that quite difficult, having to kind of really do stuff like on the fly, off the cuff. So we'll see. We'll see. I might find that I love it and you'll get loads more vlogs. But yeah, that will be a nice experiment. We'll see how that turns out. Prompt number 12. Are you interested in local history? Yes, very interested in local history. I always have been wherever I've lived. In terms of local history here, both Manchester and the area that I'm in, and all the way into sort of southern Derbyshire, it was all... it was cotton mills, the cotton industry in the Industrial Revolution. Excuse me. So yeah, I mean that side of history I've always found very interesting. The Industrial Revolution. It's it's really interesting to be able to kind of place your own local stuff within that. And Manchester has got a really long fascinating history of, you know, political activism, certainly like the early 20th century, and the labour movement, socialist movements. That's always very interesting. Manchester's always been a pretty politically active city. It's quite a lefty city, which is, and that suits me. You know, it's very inclusive, it's open, it's engaged, you know, and so yeah, that element of political history always going to interest me, as is some of the LGBT plus history that you get with Manchester. And even out this way, there is plenty of sort of political history. We're not far from Kinder Scouts, where there was the Kinder Mass Trespass, which was, you know, a protest event, a big protest event in 1932. That, you know, was kind of one of the beginning points of you know, us getting our right to roam in this country, our access to land which had previously been private land, and you weren't allowed to walk on it. And so, you know, that trespass and other forms of activism in the 30s led to you know, the right to roam being enshrined in law, and the Land Access Rights Act. And things like the first national park, the Peak District, which is very near where I live, and then beyond that, obviously more national parks and Pennine Way and long distance paths and all that kind of stuff. So that was hugely important, especially to me, who now, you know, you can't take for granted your right to roam as a hiker. It's like, you know, it was fought for. People went to prison for it. People were beaten up for it. So it's, you know, that I find fascinating. And yeah, I'm just interested in the landscape and geological history of the area as well. You know, it's fascinating stuff. So yes, I am very interested in local history. Question number 13: what subjects were your favourite in school? I think history, which, you know, carries on to this day. I do remember being particularly fascinated by the history of medicine that we did when I was about 14, 15, GCSE history. And then the history of, GCSE was like the history of medicine, followed by like the history of like some of the Chinese revolutions, you know, sort of modern Chinese history, I guess. And that was all fascinating, completely new to me at the time. So yeah, history was definitely one that I really liked. I also liked what was called CMC, which is construction materials and components. So it was basically like woodwork, metalwork, a bit of electronics, some graphic design came in later. Very much enjoyed that. I liked German when I was at secondary school, and then I did A-level in it. And yeah, my love for it kind of fell off a bit. Yeah, music, loved music. Funnily enough, didn't like drama at all. Hated drama at secondary school. Didn't get into drama until later on, and then ended up, you know, having a career in theatre for 10 to 15 years. And arts, I didn't get on with art at all at school either, but that was largely to do with a really just crappy teacher who was very much of the opinion if you couldn't draw still life perfectly, you know, realistically, then you weren't good at art. And so I was told I wasn't any good at art, and so to not bother, basically. And it took a long time to get over that, and obviously now I'm an artist, so he was wrong. But yeah, so I think history and music were probably my favourites at school. Right, question number 14. If you could go back in time and change one thing in your life, what would it be? There's not a lot, to be honest, because I'm very much of the philosophy that whilst horrible things happen, tragic things, you know, traumatic things, you know, all of that you know, that is part of what makes us who we are, I think. And it's, you know, for me, you know, whilst there's been some horrible stuff in the past, everything has informed my understanding of myself, and my understanding of the world. And so, yeah, I can't say that I would change anything, like big. One thing I think I probably would not do differently per se, but like certainly something that I would pay more attention to, I think, in if I could go back in time, would be just some friendships that I think through my own fault, really, you know, I let slip. You know, I let fall off, because I was dealing with my own stuff and kind of wanted, you know, I have a potential always to be hermity, especially, you know, poor mental health. So I think I let some friendships go by the wayside that I wish I hadn't now. One in particular from when I was at sixth form, so like 17, 18, of a lad I was very close to, and, you know, I kind of let us lose touch, and I really wish I hadn't, because he's one that I still think about, you know, over 20 years later now. He's still one that pops into my brain, and I do just sometimes wish, wish I could, you know, just give him a shout and see how he's doing. It's one of those. So definitely just, I wish I could have been a little bit more eager and kind of careful at maintaining some of those relationships. Question number 15, the final question. Are there any childhood entertainments that you still engage in? You bet. Playtime is extremely important as an adult, I think. We all have, you know, quite stressful lives. Adulting's hard. And so playtime is important, whatever that, you know, whatever your play might be. Just, you know, things that bring you joy. For me, that's gaming. I started gaming as a kid. We were a Nintendo household, Nintendo kids. So I still play Mario with my sister. We're on the Switch now instead of the Super Nintendo, but it's still Mario all the way. Bit Mario Kart. We still play board games. I used to love board games as a kid, and both my sister and my wife do like a board game, so we play those on special occasions. And, you know, games like Yahtzee and cards and stuff like that that we used to play loads of as a kid, as kids. Again, those get brought out fairly regularly. I think the big one for me is model making and things like that, like Lego. I don't have Lego these days, but I have similar stuff, because I used to love Lego as a kid. That used to be like my big thing. You know, every Christmas and birthday, more Lego. And so I have stuff that's similar. In fact, it's behind me. It's nano blocks, this is called. So it's teeny tiny Lego. But yeah, my sister started buying me these at Christmases and birthdays and stuff, and I've really got into them. So yeah, there's my little schnauzer there. I have a real life schnauzer downstairs called Marvin, who's a black standard one, but that one is the little one up there. And yeah, I've got a little collection of mini Lego type stuff there. But yeah, I'll build anything model wise. I've done Airfix kits over the years, matchstick models, metal models, basically anything, anything that's kind of, you know, crafty and buildy. I love doing, and that still brings me a huge amount of joy doing stuff like that. So yes, video games and models are probably the biggest thing. So that is the end of the questions. The last thing left to do is tag people, of course. And seeing as we are on a random questions tag, I think I will do my tagging of others in a random way. So let's have a little look at who has popped up on my feed this morning. on my subscriptions feed, and the first 5 that I come across are getting tagged. So let's have a little look. Number 1 is Olly at Criminally. Number 2 is Maddie at Reading Off Grid. Number 3 is Nadine at Tome Raider. Number 4 is MJ at Reading This Life. And number 5 is Andrew at It Came From The Page. So there we go. Those are my 5 tags. If you fancy this one, folks, give it a go. And obviously, anybody else, if you like the look of this, have a crack at it. I'm always very interested to see other folks' answers to some of the random questions. So yes, so thank you very much for watching. I will be back soon with more bookish ramblings as per usual. But from me, for now, that's ta-ra.